Up to this point, Alessia's albums have been quite average to me. There are a few songs from her albums that I'll take away and be like, yeah, these are okay. While I think her contemporary pop/R&B sound isn't bad by any means, I just don't find her material all that engaging because it's so vanilla to my ears. All that said, I do think that this album is a step in the right direction. The first half of it has some of her best works yet. The songs are tightly written, the hooks and melodies are quite memorable, like the songs Box in the Ocean, Lie to Me, and I Miss You Don't Call Me, which is my favorite song here. The production especially feels better crafted for the idea she goes for, as they sound more in tune with what Alessia is trying to do as opposed to what sounds are the most popular at the moment. But I do think that the album at 18 tracks is bloated to a degree, resulting in a good chunk of songs to feel like filler, most notably in the second half. And I also have to mention Middle Ground, which is a trip down this playground politics lane. The writing here is astoundingly childish. But regardless, I dig it. Following up two really good albums, Now's new one is yet another great addition to her catalog. As usual, the performances are great. The feature list with names like Servant with Feet and Adekunle Gold and Leon Elhavis all gel tremendously well in their spots. But the highlight for me is most notably the production, because the track list is filled with radiant sounds of neo soul, Afrobeat, disco, funk. The title track is gorgeous. I love the catchiness of Antidote. Burnout is great. Little Giants is fantastic. This album does sound very pretty on the surface, but I also came to enjoy the more personal and vulnerable subject matters too. There were a couple of tracks that didn't vibe with me all that well, and I do think while these subject matters are engaging, the lyrics can be a dime a dozen in terms of relaying her thoughts and feelings, but in the end I thought this album was great. I highly recommend it. Last year, Blue in Exile came out with Miles, which was one of my favorite albums of the year, in due part to its fantastic jazz rap and impeccable use of soul samples. If you have not heard that album, trust me, it's worth it. With this new solo Blue album, I was confident he would deliver yet another album that I would love, and I was right to put faith in him. The color blue is very thematic of what it means to be blue, from its album title to every song having the word blue in it, to literally sampling iconic songs like Electric Light Orchestra's Mr. Blue Sky and only using the blue sky part. And it works. It never feels like the concept ever gets exhausting in any way. Every song gives what it's like to be blue a new and added meaning. The instrumentals are fantastic, ranging from these jazzy and soulful affairs to mismatching beats and samples that eventually synchronize in a puzzle-solving fashion, like on the song Bluer Than Blue. And not to mention, Blue himself is as charismatic and thought-provoking as ever. No line or verse goes wasted on this album, and I couldn't stop listening to it all week. I just had to keep coming back. I absolutely love this album. Please give this a listen. Had this one recommended to me by a viewer last week who has been very supportive of my channel, and I really appreciate it. It was prefaced to me that it had an oddball aura to it, and that is definitely a big quality about it for sure, but what I really came to love about this album is how creative and energetic it is. Alicia's vocal performances on this album are incredible. Every second that you hear her voice is another second that you adore it more and more. She effortlessly glides on top of a variety of sounds like vocal jazz, baroque pop, disco. I love the uplifting elegance of Standing at Your Doorstep. The song Suit Yourself sounds like a Prince song. Prelude, which has some Tune-Yards-esque influence to it, has these aquatic, disembodied, glitched out vocal snippets on the beat, and man, the song I Feel You is just a dazzling experience. No two songs sound alike, making this album a musical buffet of sorts, and to top it all off, this album is quite life-affirming too. It's not perfect in my eyes. There were a couple of songs where, even though the vocals are fantastic as usual, the songs themselves feel a bit too off-kilter for their own good, like the one Just a Little. But I am very grateful for the recommendation, because I would have never known this album existed. I loved it, and I hope you give it a listen too. I came across this album hearing the first track off of it and came away enamored with the journey it took me on. It was cosmic, it was kinetic, it was beautiful. This song was my first experience with KODOMO, and I wanted to hear what more he was capable of. After listening to Three Spheres, there were more moments where the internal clarity I experienced off of the first track is replicated, like Pink Clouds, which made me feel like I was flying, and Spin Foam, which made me feel like I was witnessing the materialization of space. But they are bridged off between the more atmospheric tracks that are just not that interesting. This IDM sound can and has been able to produce some very extremely interesting, environmentally rich material, but on this album, not really. Half the time I was just sitting there hoping that the next track would take me on another driving adventure, because the attempts at specifically crafting these intricate sonic spaces paled in providing me that same thrill that the more animated songs were able to do. But I did find it enjoyable, and I do recommend this one. I'm especially curious to hear what other people have to say about this. This is a fantastic EP. I came across it just perusing Bandcamp, and I'm glad I did. It's psychedelic, it's sonically enveloping. I felt really immersed with these sounds and grooves here. The droning intro has some nice breathing vocalizations. The crafty guitar work and spiraling textures of sod are a big highlight. I love how large the song grows as it progresses. The title track's Eastern influences, as well as the use of hand drums and whispering vocal leads, makes it quite a spiritual venture. Sail Away is enchanting with its mystic vocal melodies and driving instrumental that gives off this feeling of freeing yourself. And the closer, Hole in Time, is really good too. Not much issues here, really impressed with what I heard, and I'm eager to hear more. The long-running neo-psych group have kind of reinvented themselves on this album. Their usual servings of psych pop have been revamped as the sounds are much bigger and more ambitious, hearkening to a lot of influences from the 70s and 80s, like the joyous opener Song for Agnes, which sees the electric groove here organically grow into a space jazz send-off. They dabble in some glam rock elements here and there, like the song Take Me Avalon, I'm Young. I love the crescendoing progression of Czech Locomotive, and I really love the bittersweet closer that is Toast. A couple of the songs didn't reach quite the same heights, those being Human Touch and Gold Cup / Plastic Soul for me, but I do think that this is the most exciting the band has been in recent years, in due part to some excellent vocal work and imaginative production. I think a lot of people will enjoy this quite a bit. I know I did. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down below, as well as some recommendations you may have, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.